You just tipped ice cream down you.
Oh, I did too. Oh, look at
Since you're here,
I got ice cream all over me.
Since
Any
you-
cottage cheese?
I don't know. No, how I can give you some educational podcast content though.
How about some in exchange for ASMR?
Okay, yeah. So since you're not going to get around to asking me, you're just
Go ahead. Tell me. What are you going to tell me?
We're going to talk.
We need to teach me. Every time I run into you, you have a story to tell.
We're going to talk about Operation Parasol, which was because I was invited to this incredible event and I never knew anything about it. These are recorded.
Okay.
I never knew anything about it, and I was invited to an incredible event, and I thought we should tell the story about
Operation Parasol.
Operation Parasol. So yeah, let's do it.
Super Blanco, let's troop polite. The place that's excitement, kryptonite. You may fall asleep with no warning. Because Canada is boring, boring. Cause Canada is boring. Canada is boring. So boring. Canada is so fucking boring. Boring. A real cool podcast with Reese and Jesse.
Hello and welcome to Canada is Boring. I am Reese Waters. I forgot my
Did you
own
forget
name.
your own name? for a
Half
second?
of it. And with me is the ice cream munching messy eater Jesse Harley, who I have told if he gets ice cream on my microphones,
He's going to fuck me
I
up.
will fuck you up. Probably with a piece of rusty iron or a brick, or whatever, or maybe a tire iron. I've been doing my
Do I get to choose
no.
the weapon I get beaten with?
Oh yeah, go on.
You just lay it out.
I'm
in
not a
front of me.
monster. So, how was it?
That might make you more of a monster.
How was your week, Jesse?
It was lovely.
What'd you do?
I went to tech training
Tech training.
at CKDU. So I used to have a show before our show. Actually, the last show I had was around the first time we did our show. The first episode for our show, Canadian Politics is Boring. Was
The
around
show is dead. Long live the show. Kind of mentality.
I was just during the pandemic, and so you couldn't go into CKDU, which is a recording. It's a community radio station here in Halifax. And for a good decade, I had a show off and on called Mylar's Old Time Fashion Radio Program Show.
I remember it. I went to your live show version.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was basically a variety hour. We'd have comedians and actors on. We do ridiculous things like the Canadian Content Challenge, which is like if you play music at all on the radio, you need to have 35% of it legally be Canadian.
Okay.
And I don't really care about Canadian songs, so we turned it into a contest. I'd have my guests race against each other. I play some Herb Albert and the Tijuana Brass, and it lasts for about 2 minutes. And they have 2 minutes to go and find an album, a Canadian album, CD or record, that has the most ridiculous looking album cover with the most ridiculous sounding title. And then we'd play them back to back and to see who was the worst, which one was the absolutely worst, contributing all factors. And then that person would get to read the weather in a voice of my choosing.
Cool.
And the actors would love this. Like I had them at one point read the weather on as if they were in a radio, like a
Is this
television
just a big
station.
plug for a new show you're doing?
Sure. I didn't even think about that. I was just telling you about my day. And one, they read the weather as if they're on like a television newscast while their partner comes over and breaks up with them and they're crying. And it was so funny. Anyway,
It sounds like Whose Line Is It Anyway style improv. fun.
yeah. But then it ends, the pièce de résistance is we did 1940s radio dramas.
Pie of Resistance.
Yep. 1940s radio dramas live on the air. We'd hand out scripts to the actors and they'd have no time to prepare whatsoever. And there's a lot of improvisation, a lot of funny. We did live sound effects and music with it. It was a blast. And we took it to the stage a few times. Reese was on it once and we had a blast. And it's been 4 years and I just kind of wanted to get back on the radio. So I went back for some tech training. We did a little, I brought my friend Ryan. We did a little demo. It wasn't on the air. It was just for the guy, the program director at CKDU. We did a couple
to read
shows.
you audition.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. And we did like the variety show minus the radio drama because that's just an insane amount of work to get one of those done. And so we finished, we uploaded it to him first folder and he's like, I'll let you know over email. I'll let you know what's going to happen. And I'm like, God damn it. We're fucked. He's just not going to, he's like, I'm going to get one of those Dear John emails.
Why don't you just do a podcast instead of a community radio station?
Because we play music on our show, and you can't.
Most podcasts do.
You can't play commercial.
Most podcasts do anyway.
But Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as far as I know, they filter and look for copyright songs, and then they'll cut out. They won't allow you to upload if you upload like podcasts with commercial songs on
I don't know anyone that's ever happened to.
Me.
Really? It's happened to you. The only person I know that's happened to.
Well, it was on Anchor. So maybe
there we go. That's why, because you use an Anchor, which doesn't exist anymore.
No, I know it's a podcast. So you're telling me I could play music on podcasts and nobody cares?
Well, somebody should care. Somebody would care.
Ice cream all over my.
Yeah. But anyway, let's not get into copyright discussions. That's
all right,
shit.
that's fair. Yeah. So
anyway, do you want me to talk about my week?
Yeah.
After your elaborate rambling explanation of a radio show that won't happen now.
It's going to happen. I hope. I know.
Doesn't sound like it. Doesn't sound like it's going to. We got a 1-star review targeting me and my research.
It's been 4 years. I've been waiting 4 years for a 1-star review about you, Reese. All the 1-star reviews are about me. All of them.
Compared my research to the 8-year-old.
Your Wikipedia, your
8-year-old's Wikipedia entry.
You do glance at Wikipedia.
I do. I will be honest, is a great starting point sometimes. You find news articles through Wikipedia, and sometimes you get core facts from it. But I will argue that this is a comedy show. So usually I'm looking for stuff that's funny, and I'm not a trained journalist. It's like I've done research, but largely for like more like comedic stuff. So if you are listening to this, I always say go and read a book if you want to learn more about it, because I am not a font of detailed knowledge and research. I'm someone who's looking at news articles, looking for funny stuff to talk about on a weekly podcast, and no one's paying me to do it. I'm doing it on my spare time.
Look how butthurt Reese is from this 1-star review.
No. So I just
I've
want,
had to deal with 1-star reviews about me for 4 years.
There's a disclaimer. I want people to reassure to know that if I'm gonna get stuff wrong, and if I say something terribly wrong, let me know if you're that upset. But most of it is not fact checked, or
I guarantee the person who left this 1-star review is not listening anymore.
Oh no, I know.
You're not talking.
I just want to set the expectations as low as possible. So
isn't that great?
Yeah.
You're such a salesman.
It's like, under
this car will get you there.
Under
probably.
promise, over deliver. Like sometimes, if the subject is interesting, I'll go down a rabbit hole and find like court documents and stuff. But that doesn't happen very often.
Amazing.
Jesse's making such a fucking mess. It's like watching a 4-year-old eat ice cream with their hands. You don't eat ice cream with your hands. It's in his hair.
They gave me the tiniest spoon.
I have to change him after this.
My favorite part of the day.
Anyway,
do you have the baby powder?
Just to go from.
I was a little chafed last time. I don't know if I like those Pampers.
I'm all right. I'm fine. I'm good. I meant your clothes.
Oh.
I'm wiping your ass. As a parent, it's a great day that when you realize that you don't need to change kids anymore, that they've learned how to shit on command. It's great.
Is that why you adopted instead of having a fourth?
I wish it was that simple. Anyway, we're going to talk about something a little bit.
She sounds great. I'm really been enjoying this process, getting to know her. She is potty trained, right? Is that was part of the interview process?
Because she's a teenager, you hope. So
you hope.
You know, a teenager would be potty trained. So we're going to talk about Operation Parasol. Jesse, where were you in the spring and summer of 1999? What were you doing?
Of when? 1999?
1999.
That's a great question. I graduated in 97. Yeah, first year film school. And I had recorded a video for my brother's high school project. We called it Star Wars Hamlet. It was the end scene of Hamlet, the fight scene between Hamlet and Laertes, except with lightsabers.
Nice.
And they played it in their high school, and everyone went fucking buck wild, and people started making copies without me knowing and passing it amongst the teachers were passing it amongst themselves, and then students were passing it to other students in other schools, and years would go by and strangers would recognize my brother as Hamlet. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Viral before viral.
Viral before viral.
That's
honestly.
interesting.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was doing. What were you doing? 1999 summer.
1999. I was 15.
What are you doing?
Probably I had sideburns so I could get served in pubs. So
Is that true?
yes, when
Are
I was
you fucking
15.
serious?
I had sideburns so I could get served drinks in the UK. It was easy.
That's fucking hilarious.
It's all the ID you need in a British pub. Some beefy black sideburns. Anyway, so the other weekend, I was invited to this insane event by a local journalist called Arta. Now, she's Kosovan.
She's what?
Kosovan. She's from Kosovo,
Okay.
which is part of. It used to be the former Yugoslavia. It's kind of now its own independent country, but there's a whole story that we'll get into with it. But I was invited to this event at the Museum of Immigration in Halifax, and it was all of the Kosovar community were there. Because the reason there's such a big Kosovar community in Halifax and in Canada is because of Operation Parasol. And I didn't know, I was a kid, I saw on the news the Kosovo War and the kind of the genocide and the ethnic cleansing that was going on.
Oh, yeah.
And I had no idea about Operation Parasol.
I don't know much about it either.
It was a mind-blowing event, and I was made to feel incredibly welcome. And I got to speak to some people who had survived like actually fleeing the ethnic cleansing.
Jeez.
It was just people there who were kind of lived it and were then kind of.
You were in Wales at the time.
I was a 15-year-old kid in Wales. It was
Right.
just would have been on the news, but I wouldn't. When you're 15, you're not paying attention to that kind of stuff.
So does this have to do with Canada?
Yes, yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Because I was just thinking, like, when we were doing
This event was in Halifax.
I was going to
Jesse.
say, like, when we were doing Canadian politics is boring, you would push the limit past politics. And now that we're Canada's boring, I'm like, are we talking about worldwide stuff now?
No.
It's like, eventually, we're going to change our name to the universe is boring.
Exactly.
Just keep Reese can talk about whatever the fuck he wants.
But also, everyone says government can't do anything. This is one example where the Canadian government did something incredible in a very short space of time that was logistically hard, and long term, it didn't fuck up because they rushed it.
Is this a political story?
No, it's not. It's just a crazy.
Because that'd be fun. Just to go back for.
I
shits and giggles.
guess there's some politics involved. We'll get into it. So anyway, so the Serbian province of Kosovo.
If this was still Canadian politics is boring, you would defend that it's a political show tooth and nail. Because
would.
politics was involved in any way.
I don't
shape, or
care
form.
anymore now.
Yeah, I know.
It's fine.
It's great.
So the Kosovo War started in 1988 when ethnic Albanian demonstrators in the Serbian
1988?
1998.
1998.
When Albanian demonstrators in the Serbian province of Kosovo began an armed campaign for independence from Serbia. No,
Kosovo and Serbia. All right.
Yeah, so they wanted freedom from the Serbian government because they felt discriminated against. So the Serbian government responded with a brutal, low-intensity conflict, which included the mass displacement of civilians, widespread human rights abuses, and the indiscriminate bombing of civilian targets.
Jesus. Okay, so let me just back up a little bit. What was the relationship between Kosovo and Serbia at the time?
So Kosovo was part of Serbia, but
Oh,
it was
so
but
it wasn't called Kosovo at the time. Like
it was called Kosovo. It was a kind of a region of Serbia,
I see.
but it was largely ethnic Albanian people. So it was ethnically different from the government and the wider country.
And the government didn't like this. Like-
No, they were treating them like second-class citizens and wanted all this stuff, basically,
Lovely.
to put it in simple terms. So they were doing some horrible shit to them. So what happened then was
Governments are the best.
Yeah. So
I heard a quote from Elon Musk that I really, really liked about this sort of thing.
I am rich.
Yeah. Hi, I'm rich. And then he just farts. And
I am
leaves.
rich.
Oh, yeah. I am rich. Yeah.
Well, I fucked up Twitter and Tesla soon.
Someone asked him a question, and I forget the question's not important. They asked him, "Hey, would you rather this be done through a corporation or be done through the government?" And his response was like, It's so eye opening. I was like, "It's like the government is a corporation. The government's a corporation that has a monopoly on violence." And I was like, just fucking mind blown. I love that. I love that quote, which is kind of cool if you think about it, and horrible at the same time. You don't agree with this at all. I can see the look in your
It's
face.
a very simplistic way of looking at government.
Yeah, but I like it. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna use
Okay,
it.
fine. Yeah. I think is a very, very. Hey, let's boil down a very complicated giant thing.
You know how much
into
I
it.
hate governments and politics.
I know,
so
but
if I can-
apparently you like Elon Musk quotes more. So
I do.
so,
So tell me about Kosovo and Serbia. Serbia was
so NATO got involved. They were like, hey, you can't just like bomb civilians indiscriminately. This is like right on the doorstep.
So
of
they
Europe.
wanted their stuff, and they
Well,
said
they didn't. They wanted to purge, or they were trying to make life hard for them.
so that they did leave.
So they would leave essentially, and kind of they wanted to keep the land and the
get rid of the
resources,
people.
but they didn't want the Albanian population, the ethnically Albanian population. So NATO
Racism is fascinating.
I know. Well, so NATO launched Operation Allied Force, where they started bombing Serbian targets to say, "Hey, stop it." So
That's a dangerous tactic. So
Yeah.
Serbia's bombing Kosovo.
so the
NATO bombs Serbia
Yes.
in return.
So then what happens is the Serbians decide to launch an all-out campaign to ethnically cleanse Kosovo of Albanians.
Jesus fuck, man. This is a light show.
So basically, close to 1 million were expelled. Nearly 600,000 were internally displaced,
What
and
does that mean?
they were forced out of that region, but they didn't leave Serbia. They just moved to other parts of Serbia. And this is the crazy one. This is the darkest part. 20,000 women were raped.
Jesus
So they
man.
used rape as a weapon to terrorize people. And there were actually a couple of women there on the weekend. The weekend I went to their event, who were there on stage talking about what happened, and like they were like,
Jesus
"Hey,
Christ.
I was raped by soldiers, Serbian soldiers and civilians," and they're kind of very vocal about it.
I'm glad they felt like they could talk about it, because I do feel like there are certain topics that people feel is taboo and you can't talk about, but like we need to talk about stuff like this.
Out of those 20,000 women, a lot of them don't talk about it.
Fair.
There's
yeah,
only a
of
few who've
course,
come
yeah.
forward to
It's
actually say this
vocal.
happened.
I just want to remind you at the beginning of this show, you did remind everybody that this was a comedy show.
It is. But
I now feel the need to remind you that
Like
you
I said,
that.
that was the darkest part. So we're gonna
Okay.
we're gonna get onto the stuff where Canada got involved and do good things.
Okay.
It is a comedy show.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a comedy show, but sometimes we go places. I need to take you new places, Jesse. Places you've never been before.
All right. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. So
It's a wild ride with you, Reese.
there were a lot of massacres. There were. I've got a list of massacres.
Oh,
here.
good.
So,
I was hoping. Fucking hell. Yeah,
but-
give me a.
I'm not going to go through them, but if I recommend you kind of if you are interested, there's some the Museum of Immigration in Halifax has got a whole display on it now where you can find out more information. So
That's cool.
So because
This is horrifying.
so because there were like nearly 1 million Kosovo refugees in neighboring countries. Now, I met a guy. So in the museum, there were pictures of people walking down the middle of a train line, like carrying all this stuff because they were fleeing, like whatever they could grab for their homes, walking down a train line, just all of them walking in the middle of the tracks. And I was just looking at the image and reading the bit below. And this guy came up to me and was like, I would have been in that photo at some point if they took it as I was, but I was part of, that exact point. I walked through there.
Wow.
He said, "Do you know the reason why they're walking down the train line?" I was like, "No." He said, "Because there's mines either side, so you just had, once you were committed, you had to keep walking because the line behind you was like 1,000 long, so you just had to keep going wherever the train line was going."
Holy shit.
Which was just mind blowing. This thing. So
This
anyway,
is insane.
I know. So all these
How long was Kosovo part of Serbia?
historically for kind of it was part of the former Yugoslavia. So when the Cold War ended, that's when everything kind of broke up and fell apart and started to. Before then, it would have been part of Yugoslavia, which was run by General Tito, I think, who was a dictator and a ruthless one.
Wow.
So kept everybody in check. But then when
This
that
is
kind of,
horrifying what they're doing. Like, fuck, man.
so you got 1 million people now fleeing into neighboring countries.
Comedy show.
so you got refugee camps everywhere. So they're like, hey,
Into neighboring countries.
yeah, the UN High Commission for Refugees sent out an international appeal to help deal with this situation. And
What blows my mind, truly to this day,
yeah,
you get governments, you get corrupt governments, you get dictators. It happens. Okay, you get these people in power who just
like
twisted.
Justin Trudeau, the world's most powerful dictator,
Of course. Yeah, right. Yeah.
apparently. According to the trucks I see driving around.
Yeah. No, of course it's true. He's our only prime minister who wore blackface and saluted a Nazi. So that's super fun. It's true if you think about it.
I mean, it's true, but
It is true. Yeah. You can run with that.
does it mean that?
I know. I'm fucking with you. But like dictators will happen, and then corrupt dictators will happen, and then evil corrupt dictators will happen. It does happen, more often than not, but it does happen. And it's just, one, look at Putin, right? Like just one person who's like hell bent on just this evil sort of campaign. That's not what blows my mind. There's 9 billion people on the planet. You're gonna have power hungry, evil fucks that rise to power. It's true. What blows my mind to this fucking day is that they will give a command such as go forth and rape, go forth and place landmines, and let's hope to blow the shit out of these people. And the people under his command, they're like, okay, here we go, landmines and rape time. Like, it's just, nobody stops and thinks, this is a madman, I'm not going to do it. They're just like hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people going, okay, whatever you say, boss. It's, what the fuck is happening with these people? Like, what is wrong with these minds?
Most people would do it, though, if you're in that kind of situation. Very few people would stand up.
If Justin Trudeau told me to go rape and place landmines and kill people because he doesn't like them very much, I'm not gonna go do that.
Yeah, but if you knew that if you didn't do it, you would be imprisoned and tortured, and so would all your family. What would be the choice you make? Would you go and do the terrible things, or would you make a stand and let them do terrible things to the people you love?
Jesus Christ, that's a fucking would you rather.
Well, you asked why do people do it?
I guess
because that's exactly what would happen if you didn't follow orders. You'd become then a deviant.
I would find a way to rebel. I would be an anarchist in the system. Yep.
Okay, cool. So that's not really an answer, but I would find a way to rebel.
I would. I think about it. I'd have time.
I'd have messy hair, and everybody else's hair would be neat while they did the genocide.
I wouldn't go and commit genocide.
All I'm saying is, like, some people do stand up and make a stand. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. What I'm saying is that when you live in that kind of construct,
okay. So yet again, we're going even further. Okay, so these people don't do it. They ignore orders. Like, hey, go and commit genocide, these horrible atrocities, or else we're going to throw you in jail. Someone has to throw you in jail and torture you for that. Someone else is following orders saying, like, hey, if these people don't do it, torture them. Fucking torture them for not doing horrible, horrible things. And those people have to do it. There's always a chain. There's a line of people who are willing to be atrocious.
When they stop doing it, that's when there's a coup and they get overthrown.
Yeah, but I'm just saying there always seems to be people cacklingly like doing the evil hand thing, like I get to be evil.
You mean there's an endless supply of minions?
Yeah, it sounds like it. Like, hey, go! You've been recruited to go forth and do horrible, horrible, horrible atrocities. No, we don't want to. Well, if you don't, we already have a large group of people who are willing to do horrible, horrible, horrible things to you if you say no to this. And like, you know what I mean? Like, when does this stop? Like this, it's mind blowing to me that there are people who are like completely fine with doing horrible things.
But don't forget, though, as far as they're concerned, you look at what's happening with people talk about trans people in the US.
Yeah.
That the fervor and anti-trans is almost like a similar kind of froth that gets built up before they start kind of oppressing and cleansing people, essentially, because you convince people that those people are evil.
So it's not just go kill these people for no reason. It was like they spend years.
The first step is dehumanization,
right,
and building fear around them, and then you don't see them as human anymore. A key part of genocide is convincing your people that those people aren't human, and that the only way to save the world is to remove them from the world.
Comedy show.
Exactly. So there you go. So I imagine something similar would have been happening. They would have been largely like propaganda, brainwashing, whatever you want to call it. People were convinced that they would do that. So Canada, this is the thing. So 1 million Kosovar people have been kicked out of the country. And Canada came forward to help.
Awesome.
And this is the best part of the story for me. So not only did Canada agree to help, but they relocated people on an insane level of speed. But also, like, they were like, hey.
And we did the similar thing with Serbians, didn't we? Not Serbians.
Syrians. Yes. Yeah. Like, this is one of the reasons why I love Canada. And I'm not usually patriotic about stuff. I love Canada because of these examples.
Yeah.
Because the people who come here are incredibly grateful and incredibly loyal to Canada and everyone I met at this event were like, yeah, I'm like, I was born in Kosovo and I'm Kosovar, but what Canada has given me, I will be grateful for the rest of my life. This is the best country in the world because
I mean, the right wings don't agree with this because
the right wings,
the right wingers,
okay.
They don't agree with immigration.
I would argue
economy.
that people who've come as refugees are going to be more patriotic than most people on the right wing because of the gift of peace and freedom that they've got.
Yeah,
that's my theory anyway.
Okay, sorry, I keep interrupting.
So it's okay. So Canada decided that on 72 hours notice, the Canadian government said to the Canadian forces, we want to relocate 5,000 people, but you need to receive them and they will be housed for up to 6 months. So the Canadian government were like, hey, we've agreed to take 5,000 Kosovo refugees immediately.
But only for 6 months. What happens after that?
Let's plan for up to 6 months.
Okay. It's not like we're sending you back.
No, exactly. So and they did it. So what happened was they chartered A310 Airbuses and just started bringing kind of plane loads of people over, landing them at CBF Trenton in Ontario, CBF Greenwood in Nova Scotia, were the two kind of places where they were landing. And they just kept busing people who were met by, they were like, hey, so the forces are going to bring everybody in. We need a bunch of volunteers now to kind of actually process and welcome these people who've been living in refugee camps and have lost everything.
Right.
So like Lions and Rotary clubs, the Salvation Army, just people in the community were there to just essentially bring them in, assess them, kind of health checks, all that kind of stuff as they arrived. Then escort teams consisting of one military person and one volunteer were assigned to a group between 7 and 14 refugees. And that would include whole families and sometimes their pets. So what you had was like the Canadian forces did their bit, and then just people in their spare time were like, hey, I'll be responsible for these 7 to 14 people and their pets.
Like, as in take them into their home?
As in, like, make sure they didn't get broken up from their families.
Oh, so they go
make sure they had everything they need. They were actually living on base.
Okay, they're living on base, but they came in with like, and they just volunteered basically.
Yeah, they volunteered to just make sure they had everything they need. Exactly. And even there was a guy at the event as well.
How many Canadians were volunteering for this?
Well, there were 5,000 refugees. So there must have been like there must have been hundreds of them at very least.
That's amazing.
But there was also
this was here in Halifax.
This was here in Halifax and also in a base in Ontario. But Halifax did a lot. Nova Scotia did a lot. There were only like 13 Kosovar people in Nova Scotia.
13?
Yeah,
5,000?
So in terms of immigration from Kosovo, there were only 13 people who lived here before this happened.
Oh, okay.
So those 13 people, they were like, hey, you speak English. We don't have any translators for this language.
Oh no!
So they were like, "I'll come and be a translator." So
that's amazing.
The 13 people who'd emigrated here then became translators.
What did they speak? What's the language?
I think it's Albanian. I believe.
Oh yeah, right. That would make sense.
I'm terrible at languages. So leave us an angry comment or something.
You're terrible with languages, that we said.
Yeah.
Do you speak any other language other than you speak a little Welsh? Don't you?
No,
you don't.
Very poor level of Welsh.
I thought. There's certain.
I don't speak my own language, so
okay, that's fine.
English is somebody else's, and that's the only language I speak, and I'm not very good at it.
This is kind of a really inspiring story, honestly, so far.
I love it. So I think it's amazing. So the teams basically did everything they could. They did medical screening, identification, showering, new clothing, and also they set up a shoe store because Agriculture Canada had deemed the shoes they were wearing as agriculturally unsound, as in they didn't want the dirt on the shoes because you can contaminate soils.
Oh, that's interesting.
So they all got new shoes, like they all got fitted with shoes. So from the minute they got off the plane, they had a medical examination, they had a hot meal, they were showered, they were processed, they got new shoes in less than an hour.
Unbelievable.
Because of all these volunteers and the Canadian forces working together.
Amazing.
So imagine you've just been living, you've like been in a refugee camp, you've fled, people you know have been massacred and all this awful stuff happening.
Right.
And then you arrive and there's just some friendly Nova Scotians going, hey, hot meal, shoes, shower. Amazing. Follow me, come sit here.
See, I'm actually happy that my tax dollars went towards something like that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So after spending
I might be alone in that for a lot of people.
No, I think this is what governments should be for.
Right. Helping
Helping.
their own and helping others.
Yeah, exactly.
Making life better for people.
So after spending 2 months in those facilities, they were then moved to cities and given like temporary housing or permanent housing in a community with sponsors. So, hey, I've got room in my house. They can live here, whatever was available at the time. And they ended up staying for 24 months.
Oh.
And
so they didn't just immigrate here?
So that's the thing. So when stability was finally brought back to Kosovo.
How?
Well, NATO kind of got really the military side of things really ratcheted up.
Did they get rid of the dictator?
Yeah, he was charged for war crimes.
Oh, good. Okay,
so there's a happy ending. But not all of them got caught. Some of them disappeared.
Right.
Not everyone got charged for everything that happened, but they did go to to The Hague. Is it The Hague for the war crimes trials?
Not sure what that is.
It's an international criminal war crimes court.
Oh, okay.
I think it's where all the Nazis were tried.
Oh shit! Okay.
So, but only 1/3 returned. The other 2/3 decided to stay in Canada.
Oh wow!
Out of the 5,500 who eventually made it here,
and they were allowed to.
They were offered permanent residency.
Wow!
And all of the Arta has made a film. Which I'll put in the link. She made a short documentary, is on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
About the war and what happened. But then also she did this thing where she talked about all of what the people who stayed went on to do, because she was 12 when she came here from a refugee camp.
Wow.
And listed like all the cultural contributions. And everybody there was like having hung around people who were born in Canada, who really like Canada. They have a few gripes about Canada. The people there who came, from a young age and then had rebuilt their lives here, they fucking love Canada so much. And it's kind of this amazing country that gave them a whole new start of life. So it was an amazing evening.
I'm curious how many other countries did similar things during that time, like helping out refugees,
a lot of the countries around the immediate area of over the border, like the countries that were bordering Kosovo. They had millions of people there in camps helping them. And
holy shit! So they had millions, and we took 5.
They had a million. Sorry. Yeah, but Canada's like
geez,
thousands of miles away.
Yeah, but still, I feel like we could do better than 5,000. Now that I know there was millions, like Jesus.
Well, it was just under 1 million people. But I mean, Canada did what it could.
So here we are patting ourselves in the back for doing the very minimum.
But honestly, the people who did come across, the thousands who stayed, they have made a big impact on Canada, and they are intensely passionate about
that's awesome.
Canada being a great place. And I think that when everyone's talking about immigration and stuff, I think is that event totally restored the reasons why I moved to Canada and why I kind of share values with that kind of thing. So yeah,
you didn't leave because you were oppressed.
I didn't leave because I was oppressed, but the British government is trying to send illegal immigrants to Rwanda in camps.
What?
And is the British attitude to immigration at the moment is terrifyingly fascist.
Jesus. All right.
So I wasn't oppressed, but there were some certain values that I didn't appreciate or like.
Right.
So
yeah.
Canada's great. I love it.
I'm glad you enjoy Canada. Yeah. I mean, nobody's going to bomb us because everybody's cousins live here.
Exactly.
That's what people say. We're just taking everybody.
Yeah.
And there's some people who are really happy with that, and some people think it's great, and there's some people who are just really, really angry about it.
But as a little twist,
Monsieur Bernier.
Stability has been there since 1999, or since the conflict ended. However, things are starting to get a bit more tense again now.
Oh, of course. Why not? Fuck it.
Just to add to the mix. So right now, but now it's different. You have a much bigger Kosovar community in Canada and Nova Scotia. So what happens there has much more of a consequence than it did before, where you had 13 people here.
So once again, if war breaks out, all the surrounding countries were like, we'll take 200,000, we'll take 500,000. And Canada was like, well, we can do $5,000 again, 5,000 people.
We need to build more houses. That's the problem.
We're building these insanely expensive condos that nobody can afford to move into.
And also, you go to rural Nova Scotia, empty houses everywhere. Abandoned houses.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Doesn't make any sense. Anyway.
So I don't think this is a good episode to do an improvised heritage minute on.
I
think that would be horrifying and
I
depressing.
think it's probably the most right you've ever been in your life. But
just an improvised heritage minute of you wandering down the train tracks in a war-torn country. I don't think that's something people want to hear.
My goal wasn't necessarily to make everyone laugh with this episode. It was to remind people that happened. And
It was a very cool story.
And that the
I'll give you
Canadian
that.
forces and volunteers did an amazing thing.
That was
and
amazing.
the Canadian government.
Yeah. That was amazing. So let's do some admin. After the admin, how about a quiz? So with the admin, and I know I hate reminding you of this during the show because you never want to do it.
Do what?
Well, we keep asking people to leave speak pipes, and then people leave speak pipes, and I'm like, let's play the speak pipe, and you're like, no.
No, I don't want to. It's
Well,
just okay. I'll find one on my phone. Right,
You're just going to play it from your
just-
phone into the mic?
Yeah, because I haven't got it set up. You do admin. What do you want to?
Well, this was the admin.
What do you want to add?
Do you want to do it for the next show? Play the speak pipe for the next show?
Yeah, fuck it.
Let's do it for the next show. Okay. So leave us a speak pipe. Let us know what your thoughts are on the transition between Canadian politics is boring to Canada is boring.
Yeah. Do you hate us? Oh, Kyle, who got our tattoo the tattoo on his
tattoo
leg.
for Canadian politics is
He
boring.
emailed to say that he likes the new format and he doesn't mind, which is really fun. And that you've got another leg. Kyle, we will let you have another tattoo on the other leg if you want.
Kyle, if you want to have our other show, Canada's Boring, tattooed on your other leg, we'll pay for it, buddy. That's mainly out of guilt. Just straight up guilt.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's the admin done.
Leave us a speak pipe, speakpipe.com/
Canadian politics is boring.
because we haven't changed it yet.
Changed it yet.
Yeah, or just there's probably a link in the show notes.
Seamless branding exercise.
There's probably a link in the show notes of your podcast. You can just
Yes,
click
you can.
it in 5 seconds and be leaving us an anonymous voicemail within 5 seconds. It's kind of fun.
You'll
And
have
if we
good-
like it, I will do my damnedest to convince Reese to play it on the show. Something that has been a struggle for 2 years now. I don't really understand why, but that's the thing. There we go.
Cool.
So yeah, that's admin. Let's do a quiz, and you can come along with us on this quiz time. I really wish we had some music for a quiz. Just
Okay.
a little intro music, like a 3-second sort of dun dun dun.
Hang on.
Are you gonna
Way
pull-
ahead of you.
Are you really? I don't think you are.
I'm
You're
way ahead of you.
Pulling it out of your phone. You're gonna pull. All right.
Wait there. Just wait.
This is so professional.
Just wait. Fuck.
I'm waiting.
Just wait. Stupid Samsungs.
I agree.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Get ready for this.
Okay.
Jesse, spin the wheel for your question.
Here we go.
Okay. That's the question.
That was so bad.
That's the question. Can you name the Nova Scotian?
I'm horrible with names. You know this.
Can you name
I
the
don't do
Nova
names very
Scotian
well.
base where people were flown to?
No. God. It's not Shearwater, I'm guessing.
Very sorry. No.
I'm horrible with names. I'm bad with names.
CBF Greenwood.
Yeah, I'm not good with names.
Okay. Next
Let's
question.
spin the wheel. This is great.
Here we go. Okay. So, can you name one of the volunteer groups who helped?
No, I'm horrible with names. There were groups? There were names? They were named the groups? I mean, there was 13 Kosovos that came on as translators. I know that. The Translating Kosovo group.
I'll give you that one.
Oh,
Hang on.
thanks.
Wait
Well,
there.
spin the wheel.
That was the right answer. Okay, last one.
Okay, let me spin the wheel.
Which?
I
Oh,
gotta
sorry.
spin the wheel.
Yeah. Which Canadian agency insisted on removing their shoes?
Oh, I know this one. What's the prize? If I get this right.
I don't know.
Really make it tempting. I'm going to say Canadian Agricultural Group. Final answer.
Agriculture Canada. I'll give it to you.
Okay,
we
sweet.
go. We
Just
did it.
mix the names up.
Yay!
Yay!
Well done.
2 out of 3.
Do you like the new soundboard?
That was great. Holding it up to the mic from your phone.
There you go. There's your prize. It's very professional.
It's very professional.
It's like I'm very sure.
Do you not have your computer set up to record?
I do, but I didn't have time to do it.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for listening to Canada is Boring. I'm Jesse. This has been Reese. Really loving this new format. Really loving this new show. Would love to hear from you. If you want to leave us a speak pipe, we'll play it on the air as long as it's not too racist or too... Reese is really loving the soundboard. Just give me very...
Run out of time.
Running out of time. We gotta go. All right. See you guys next time on Canada's Boring. No. Don't boo our show.
Super they cool, they much too polite. A place that's exciting with kryptonite. You make fall asleep with no warning. Because Canada is boring, boring. Because Canada is boring, boring. Canada is boring, so boring. Canada is so fucking boring, boring, boring. A real cool podcast with Reese and Jesse.